Should you go on a photo walk? Welcome to Photography After Hours.
Cheers.
Cheers. This is the photography show where we just talk about anything that comes to mind. And we are sponsored by PAC, Photographers Adventure Club. Go to photoadvclub.com. So, Photowalks. We do a lot of them. And we're familiar with Photowalks in general. It's just like a everyday kind of thing, right? What is a photo walk for people that don't know? Nick.
Can I buzz in? Well, a photo walk is when a bunch of photographers get together in one place with their cameras and just go out and take pictures. There's a goal sometimes, and other times there's just an open walk. We just go out and do something, in a general same area. So that's the kind of the essence of it.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite thing about going on photo walks, Brady?
It's sort of like the baton death march of photography. Yes, it's just like, oh, you don't know what to take, what to do, what to shoot, but here you are. Actually, I like it because it's fun to get out with the gang and just kind of go out and shoot some pictures and kind of take a look at a block or a new subject, or maybe you're going to go out and shoot architecture, maybe you're going to go out and shoot animals, maybe carnival or something like that. And
so you
try to get
typically
everybody's different
have an
views.
objective, right?
Right. Yeah. It's a specified venue, and we've had some at the Museum of Musical Instruments.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some at Game Reserve for some animals that used to be wildlife animals that were used as pets that were abused, and so they now have a shelter, and so we got to go take pictures there, and that was very nice. And we do some just to get people used to their camera down at Mill at night, so they get used to shooting at night. And so yeah, I think they're very nice, very useful, and some interesting subjects.
Scott, do you prefer photo walks that are just a general social gathering, or do you like to have an objective or something that the photo walk leader is specifically trying to instruct members or participants on?
Well, I've been on both, and they're both fun. But yeah, let's see. The one where everyone is just kind of gets together and we have like a route planned out, and we're like, okay, well, we're gonna walk this route and take pictures of whatever you find fascinating or find interesting. What I find interesting is that you got like 50 people taking a picture of like, some graffiti or some, so it's like everyone kind of like one person will clue in on something, and other people like tag along onto that, and they all start taking pictures of the same thing. I've been on other photo walks where it's kind of more of a guided tour of whatever the area is, and so it is a little bit more structured, but then people don't feel as free to kind of like do their own thing. Mm-hmm. So personally, what I do is I kind of like a mixture of the both. I like it so that, in general, I like it just to be more of a social gathering, because essentially that's what a photo walk is. It's a social event. You're supposed to get together with people of the same interest, but different backgrounds. You got people who shoot product photography, landscapes, portraits, and everybody's got a different angle.
And different skill
and
levels.
Different skill levels.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool just to like the social aspect of meeting these people, talking to them, finding out who they are, becoming friends with them, that's the cool part. The other cool thing that I like to do personally is I like to use each photo walk as a challenge to kind of step outside my boundaries, do something that even I don't get to do on a daily basis. So I come up with like these little tasks or these little challenges, and I say, okay, I'm only going to photograph, something red, something round, and I'm going to be looking for natural light that's just coming from my environment. And I go completely without, the minimalist equipment, and I try to make as great of a photo as I can following the criteria that I set. So it becomes hard. It becomes really difficult.
Wait, we're supposed to take pictures on Photowalks? I thought that was just jewelry. I'm always talking to everyone. That's like my little midget from my necklace kind of thing. I thought.
Nick's big thing
But
is facilitating the movement of the group and answering of the questions and so.
But actually, that's part of it too, because that's the social aspect of it. I mean, everybody's checking out everybody else's gear. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, think about it. Photographers are gear techs. They're gearheads. They love their gear. They love to see, oh, what are you shooting? What are you doing? How are you doing this? You know, and oftentimes you'll end up walking down the street and you haven't taken a single photo, but you've made a connection.
I'll take pictures, but they're of other people usually. So I'm like, oh look, that's someone shooting, and I'm taking pictures of the other photographers.
You bring up a good point because it is probably one of the best opportunities to get to know gear that your friends or people are using and get to see it hands-on. Because so you get to other events and they'll tell you about it, but at a photo walk you get to hands-on. Hey, let me check out that camera, or how does this
really
tripod or
Look,
whatever.
Alex is really light. This is really nice.
Talking about that on our last one is that we're looking for lighter equipment to carry around, and like you said, Alex, of course, representative for Olympus, and is really good at showing us how their new equipment works. We're watching him take a picture of the Mill Street Bridge, and basically setting it. You can just kind of watch the picture bloom on the camera and tell when you've got the right exposure and shut it off. And that's a pretty new concept when you really think about it.
Yeah.
And
it's got other cool
everybody's
new
pretty
things.
amazed by that. And so it's neat to see what the new equipment will do
without buying it.
Without buying it. Yeah, that's right. And
so Scott, you mentioned something about multiple people taking photos of the same subject, and I wanted to get your opinion, Nick, on, I know we've talked before about how you can take a whole crew of people to the same place and have a whole line of tripods lined up, or just people with cameras and stuff, and everybody will come away with a different perspective, a different image.
Sure.
So tell us more.
Yeah, it's a fallacy that people don't like going on photo walks because they're like, oh, we're all taking the same picture. And the higher level photographer you talk to, like Ken Skloot, that's a Canon Explorer, or Joel Grimes, they have no problem standing like right leg to leg with your tripod and taking the same picture because they know all the different factors of all your settings, your lens, your body, just your vision of how far you're zoomed is changing that picture. So the two of you don't get the same image. The only time that's ever happened is when you, me, and Alex were up there underneath the truck taking pictures of lightning.
That's the only time it's ever happened in history.
And it's the only time.
and
the lightning was so much. It was so dead on in the same spot every time that we almost got identical pictures.
They're very similar.
They're very similar. Mine were a little bit better. You're right. Yeah. So, so the fallacy is that you're looking at the same subject, but again, all the lenses are different. Someone's shooting with a 50mm, someone's shooting with this, and to come away from that and look online later of like, wow, I should have thought of that, or that's an awesome idea, or next time I got to think of that, because I've grown so much from doing that, just talking to other people and just getting their point of view and going, I never thought about that. So you're standing there looking at this pole and someone squats down and gets an awesome shot of it, and you just click and you didn't get very creative with it. So I like that angle of seeing what other people create, because everyone has a different vision and we all look at that same pole and it's like totally different. Someone's doing macro, someone's doing black and white, someone's zoomed in, someone's far away, someone's taking pictures of the people taking pictures of the pole, and it's just,
So in the vein of creativity, Sprague, what are some of the photo walks that you've been on where you've had to be constrained in your limitations, like shooting from only shoulder height and below, or things like that? Have you done that type of photo walk, or where you have to shoot at a certain focal length? Are there favorites that you can think of?
I've never been restricted that way. I mean, I've been in some venues where they wouldn't let us use flash, and where you really desperately needed it, and you see that a lot, in museums and the like, because they won't let you use flash, they won't let you use tripods. So you have to be creative, because when you're shooting inside a church, it's very dark, and the only way that you're going to really get a good shot is you can put it on a tripod, maybe shoot an HDR, move things around, and so you have to be a little bit more creative about that, about putting it on the edge of a pew or something like that, or maybe even putting it on the floor. Like I've got a tilt shift lens where you can just lay it down and then you can kind of scroll it up, and so that becomes your tripod. And so it forces you to think out of the box and say, how am I going to get this
problem solve,
getting everybody upset? I mean, sometimes you have to bump your ISO way up, and without blowing out detail in the shadows, and that's a little bit of an iffy type of a proposition.
Well, and the benefit I think of being on the photo walk with a bunch of other photographers is you have some resources at your immediate disposal to help you solve those problems on the fly while you've got your equipment right in front of you.
Right, yeah.
And you can go through the menus together. A lot of times we can help people go through their camera menus even though you don't have direct experience with, say, a Nikon and I have a Canon or that kind of stuff.
Well, I think what you were getting at was what like Larry or Charles has just done, where it's like you're limited. Everyone has to bring a 50 millimeter or tape your lens off, and then you have to use your feet as your zoom and just think differently because you're stuck. You only have one focal length, and it's like everything's 50 millimeters, so everyone's shots should be identical from that perspective. But he wants to see how you kind of use that to your advantage. Do you get really close? Do you just do the wide and stuff like that?
Yeah, everybody's shooting at the same focal length, or you go out with different go out with a single objective, say to photograph vertical lines.
Yeah.
And then you hit, a particular, you have boundaries, right? We're all going to stay on this particular street, or we're all going to stay, within this particular area. And then every shot that you take has to have that component, or
Larry did
from
a
that
cool
perspective.
One. Larry Pollock does our Northern Arizona chapter, and he did one up in Jerome not too long ago, maybe about 3 months ago, where they had to shoot like film. You only had 12 or 24 shots, and that's it. So
yeah, tell the story in 12 shots.
In 12 shots, and sometimes they'll make you cover up your digital back, so you have to just know your camera, and it makes you think, and you're just not click 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 click, because now you're like, I only have 12 shots, so you have to think like film.
Yeah, you have to think strategy.
Yeah,
and we're not always thinking strategy because we're shooting digital, and digital, there is a cost, but it's so nominal. It's pretty much free. It's not at all like the film days where you were really having to think ahead and decide how many shots you're going to expend. So those types of restrictions kind of pull you back to those old school days where there are longtime photographers that have exceptional skills because they were forced to know everything about their camera without looking at it, or those types of things. So anything, did you want to say anything further before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just said that, what I like about them for the most part is get out from behind my computer, get out of the house, go meet some people, just the social aspect. Photographers are introverts a lot of times and don't like to get out there and meet other people, and it kind of breaks you out of your shell, like you were saying, to go meet people and people that have common interests, and you can talk to and speak the same language, and you're always behind your computer and just back there working and editing, and it's like, go out and just have some fun. You may not get epic shots, but you'll meet some friends. There's been lifelong pack members that have lifelong friendships now. I see them go out to dinner and do all kinds of stuff, bring us cupcakes, and it's cool to see all those interactions, and none of them knew each other before they joined pack. So it's kind of fun to see that stuff happen, and it all happened at Photowalks,
Yeah. Scott?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the photographer's Comic-Con, it's like, we just had Comic-Con here, and like, if you've ever been, you walk around there, and if you're not into it, you're going to think, wow, these people are like freaks, they're crazy. But if you're into it, it's like your paradise, and that's kind of what a photography photo walk is. Like, if you're really, you're just there with people just like you.
Kindred
so you can
spirits.
geek out in any way you want, and it's okay. Yeah. Like, nobody's going to judge you. It's cool.
We always do spring.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, spring's here again.
And nothing against Comic-Con. Like, nothing.
Well, the other thing about it is that, everybody sees certain things that appeal to them, and sometimes, somebody will scope something out that nobody else saw, and it ends up being a great photo opportunity for other people. I mean, we were shooting down southern part of San Francisco, and they have some really interesting alleys that have nothing but graffiti in them that are extremely well done.
For your viewing pleasure. Yeah. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
Definitely, it makes you see outside the box and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, get out there and join a photo walk. Get to know the photographers in your area. Check out their gear, and make some new friends. Again, Photography
And
After
you
Hours
can drink on
is-
these too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, drink and
Photography
click.
After Hours is sponsored by PAC. Not our new logo. But we do photo walks, workshops, seminars, and all kinds of fun events. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
We've got to change that screensaver.
Cheers.